Hello, Bridge Scholars. This is Dr. J coming at you again with Writing and Grammar Online. This week, passive and active voice. Today, we're going to find out what active and passive voice look like in sentences, how to switch from one to the other, and especially with math and science concepts, when you want to sometimes use fewer words to say what you mean. We're going to also look at a pie puzzle based on geometry concepts that we've been studying for the task, and find out how passive and active voice can help you be a more concise and clear writer. And that's super important because when you write, you want to say exactly what you mean with the precise words. That's clarity. And you want to use the least amount of words to get your point across. It's about being economical in your word choice. In this lesson, we'll see how passive voice is especially useful for math and science concepts. But before beginning, let's review pi and some geometry concepts we've been studying so far, the pi and circle videos. So apparently some students found that pi video amusing. Students laughed. Now, it's super important that we review subjects and verbs, which are at the heart of all sentences. It's especially important to know where subjects and verbs are in your sentences. Students laughed. Hardworking, studious bridge students laughed. Hardworking, studious, and dedicated bridge students who wanted to be educated about geometry laughed. And hardworking, studious, and dedicated bridge students who wanted to be educated about geometry laughed, so the teacher asked why they were laughing. Can you find the subject of each sentence? And can you find the verb in each sentence? You find that the verbs are in yellow. The subjects are in yellow and the verbs are in green. We need to be sure we know where the subjects and verbs are because passive voice messes with the order of subjects and verbs. But if we always know where to find the subject and where to find the verb, we'll be fine. Sometimes subjects and verbs do a flip. Help me write a sentence about the pie video. It should start with the teacher. What did the teacher just do? The teacher drew a circle. That's active voice. The teacher drew a circle. Now, if we flip the subject, which is teacher, with the verb drew, we get something like this. Circle was drawn by the teacher. Passive voice. In the active voice, the teacher drew a circle, the subject performs the action. But in the passive voice, the subject is acted upon. The subject receives the action. Let's try that again. Help me write a sentence about the silly caveman from the video. Start with the caveman. The caveman made a wheel. That's active voice. But if we flip and we put the wheel at the front of the sentence and the caveman kind of at the end, and look, we have a wheel was made by the caveman. Passive voice. That sentence is in passive voice. And the focus is on the wheel made by the caveman. One way that you can always recognize the passive voice is there's some form of the verb to be, usually, with some other verb, like the wheel was made by a caveman. If you're on the lookout for some of these to be or being verbs, you are probably going to find a passive voice in the sentence. Another giveaway is the word by. You'll often see the word by, as in the circle was drawn by the teacher. Let's practice changing an active sentence to passive. Active. We use a special symbol to represent pi. Passive. A special symbol is used to represent pi. You've got the to be verb form, it is. It sounds kind of weird to use the active voice in this case, we use a special symbol to represent pi because the focus is on we. It makes more sense for the focus to be on the special symbol. Passive voice would probably be the best choice for concise and clear writing. Active to passive. The teacher drew a number of equidistant points from the center. Let's change it to passive voice. A number of equidistant points from the center were drawn. Going from passive to active now. The number of digits in pi has not been determined. Active. No one has determined the number of digits in pi. On the task, you may be asked to choose revisions of sentences. Which is the most accurate and effective revision to this sentence? Pi, which is helpful for finding the area of a pizza, was first calculated by the mathematician Archimedes in Greece in the 3rd century BCE. Choice A. Pi, first calculated by the Greek mathematician Archimedes in the 3rd century BC, is helpful for figuring out the area of a pizza. Let's look at a few others. They're all kind of wordy, not very concise, and boom. Choice D. The Greek mathematician Archimedes first calculated pi, which is helpful for finding the area of a pizza. Here's a case where the active voice seems to be the best choice because it's more concise. Usually, but not always, you have the subject at the beginning of the sentence, instead of like in choice C where you have this phrase within, and in choice A and B where you have this phrase between a pair of commas. Using the active voice can often make your writing sound clearer and more concise, but there are times when the passive voice seems right in math and science concepts, like pi is calculated or the radius was determined, because we don't want this focus to be on we or you or whoever's doing the calculation, but the concept itself. So that's all for today with Dr. J. Keep practicing those passive and active voice sentences. We have an activity for you to do with your teacher on pies and pizzas, and for reviewing the whole concept of passive and active, which we went through really quickly, the good old Purdue online writing lab is great. You can also find more task-like questions at study.com. So once you're able to understand how to use active and passive voice, you'll be able to find out how to make your writing more concise and succeed on the writing task. Good luck and see you next week.